pour ñing doku sifala buñala. But the most significant thing for me was ñing doku sifa kele banku jama. Ñing wato na banko la. You can imagine the emotion. You can imagine how I'll be affected by this. So nga aladani pour ayen dema nga ñin doku ke aye sembo ani balafa dinna pour nse ñing sambano anyanta kela ñaadi. So nganna family inform nga duwa ñini ibulo mfama be jenum bama be jenum jandin TRRC be banna unfortunately nganna bama lose nganna fama lose bari arawantanya lonko itata dulato mi ya lonko jele haita. I am pray to God that they rest in eternal peace and all the departed for that matter. So nkamin dani nung ñin do ko to TRRC mu ñin nete no pour Gambia TRRC dunia be yaaje ko ye do ko kende leke pour Gambian nol fanan illa fita minna illa objectif mu minna isa soto pour ka toñaaje ko toña sabatita pour ka opportunity soto pour ka healing ke pour ka opportunity soto fanan pour ka accountability ke but also reparations. So nga mira ko nga doku kendo leke nga katale ya long ala abdu fa ablay fati a fintita kurka fo molye ko esaka TDB kele dum TRRC TDB for us means still daybreak into dalita wala dum for working all night and that. So ala yendema na timo isontanna nga doku okay for 2 months or more than 2 months inka well doku ke TRRC all night so ala yendema nga reporto bondi mi ya lonko mansakunda out of 268 recommendations here 265 recommendations accept
I think mobe d'accord ta TRRC ye doku kenda bala keje kabanko makoy ka kontiboro
all praise go to God. All praise go to God.
Alhamdulillah. But I want you to take us through the process of having some of these witnesses come. From a nying sedebal molmen boko Edward Singateh, sedebal men boko din jongulal Oya, for example, Imam Fatinyol. What was the behind the scene steps? Alkamenta kanyun samana. Do you have to meet some of them in person?
Yes.
Or Falkis available? Let's take Edward
yes.
for example.
Look, most of the time, the investigators, because I'll just give them a topic. We've agreed the topics, the themes that TRRC should investigate well before the hearing started. And those were given to the investigations team. And they would do the investigations. For most of the time, really, I am not involved. But there are some instances where I am involved because my responsibility was also to supervise the investigation. So dolbeje purke nati asulata na intervention like Edward Singateh, for instance. Ntata Nigeria ngamit purka convince pur ayena before the TRRC. Intending Alaji Barole Tata, he was director of investigations. Nga negotiations ke. So ako abe consideration le diala. So nga meeting Koteng Soto. The second time I think I intending Abdumane le Tata. So nga discussion okay. Nga agreement safe. Well, no. Aye ala conditions dinna. Was it no aye ala statement din at ala position on the various issues and so nga invite ayena ala conditional mu pour na ala testimony bang according to TRRC rules as a murunno Nigeria and donc nga wo assurance diala ko ni ay nata a cooperate with the TRRC ta arrest. Okay, so anata according to the agreement police liamuta airport ayenkili nga for police ego abenala TRRC so yabula anata TRRC a testified over 2 days and don't bri ayabang atata kasei there were some difficulties at the airport so ayenkili nga ko well TRRC did not put any restriction on his travel so yabula ayesei Bari Aliaje Edward testified it was not the easiest. So, but Alayen tolbe dema intela fita minnanu nga soto abulo. Edward Nata a testified aye confession ke for 14 murders. Aye murder killing dorongly deny. Mumu Usman Korosi Seti. But you can see the difficulty that all of those people had about that particular killing. That was the first known state-sponsored assassination in the history of the Gambia. So, wokoliata numbake. Bariyaje evidence ngamin present to Edward. Aya be deny. Yewo evidence le use purka Yankuba Ture convict beyond reasonable doubt. Without more. So wo kia itandiko TRRC evidence min bondi was cogent and strong evidence to lead to conviction in any. You know, with Edward's testimony, no questions Jammeh asked, quite interesting. Nga anyininka ye min for jambe nyinkuo kono. Ni charge before court. How would you plead? I have to come plead like guilty. Oh my God. That is the greatest clincher any lawyer could get before any witness. You know, so nga ala tentu. Ayendema nga nyowo koske. Sana sabali. Sana tenala nimmantanum purka convince as to the value of
Atabenum mindole.
Sana benun Dakar. Nga information sotoko abe Dakar. So molia la number di nanga kili afai ko interim lead consulti la vitejela nga meet nga discuss but Sana was excited and happy to come and face Gambians katu the aye information mim potul asiatane so alafita na ka bondi you know so anata a testified aye apology ke Gambian, even Edward Fana, aye apology ke Gambian mul for the wrongs ye minke. Sana reconciled with Edward, ya lonko Edward, Sana, ya frame, ya muta, ya sorong, andung amam fenke. Wo fanango evidence obe fintita, you know. So I mean, yes. So Jongulas bije, dol bije, nye mitle because Jammeh bije ilafita testify la dol bije iman laspila testify. So what do? You can see this guy. What's his game? Something Jammeh. Ismaila Jammeh. He came. He did not want to admit to anything that he did, even though there was evidence. But his case was also very limited. But there was evidence suggesting that he was involved in the killing of Al-Mamu Mane. His version of events is different from that of others. So it's for the commission to decide where the truth lies.
What to do. Honorable, you know, a lot of interesting witnesses, you know, mo Jamal Nate Mabeta je lafa ke nyininkale of all sedawolu men be na TRRC. Jumale beje wo sedawolu kono me alon ko ala testimony ala sataro ayibali sino la isa foko bide a nyinde ay aduntan na bakele
yalong TRRC nga evidence o min moy be tumodo ibetala home ye la ite sino la no honestly speaking you remember Essa Keta gayo mi ya lonko ye kido ya lapi kido la ala dakono anyingol be
jolonda
anyingol be tinyata biring ayat be testify la ayaku fo Mr. Faal ye biring ye nying fenko fadinka fenko be tolonta andung ayala false statement. Oh, that was painful. Sana Sabadi, when he testified about some rods being put in his anus, that was something. When he was made to wear female clothes and dance female bikini, and these are terrible things. People being hit with hammers, like the testimony of this guy, Alaji Martin. Some of these things are deeply traumatizing. Huh? You get home, your body shakes sometimes. You shiver, because
so when you have such moments, such very tough days and nights at the TRRC, what do you do to unwind?
Prayers. In my house at Kersering, I had a prayer room. So sometimes, I will come down there and just sit there by myself. It's so quiet, and I pray to God. That was the only thing I could hold on to. You know what people don't realize? TRRC, emotions jamali bundi inteka during the hearings. Sometimes it's so funny, I laugh, like until Jahanamani freeze, statements like that, you laugh. You cannot help but just laugh. Huh? But sometimes you hear certain things, I sit there and I cry because I cannot believe how a Gambian would treat a fellow Gambian like this. So shocking. Look at November 11th. Just look at November 11th. You parade Gambians and just execute them like that in cold blood. And you have both Sana Sabali and Edward sitting there trying to justify it. And you recall the statement by Dr. Sise. I spent years of my career teaching generals about the Geneva Conventions. And you people sit here and tell us that the Geneva Conventions don't matter. Wow. I think that was deep and profound.
Yeah. It was a powerful statement. Esa, lafa kenyi ningamena hanibi TRRC, in terms of say the Kolangol Yemen Soto, who was the toughest?
Tough in terms of what? Lack of cooperation, or tough in terms of how to elicit the evidence out of the person?
Like, tough in terms of like
look, you have someone like Lamin Dabo, who I don't want to describe him in the way that I feel because it may appear disrespectful, but he is patently non-cooperative. And that shows some guilty conscience in my view, But the witness I enjoyed two witnesses. Three witnesses. One was Edward Singateh because of the intellectual tussle. But more for me, in terms of the style that I came up with at the second day and how it all ended. You recall that the last 50, I think 50 or 52 questions, he all answered the way I wanted. Yes, 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 all the way down. I think that was a masterpiece in advocacy.
Indeed.
If yes, in my own book, I think when bring Bandi, real satisfaction sort of kafuko digga nga doku woke Gambia. Yes, that was, and I could just feel the silence in the room. 52 questions. Yeah, that was something.
Yeah.
So
No,
in
certainly
terms
for
of
me,
advocacy, that was
personally,
the best.
I would also say, upon
But
reflection, Edward. Go ahead.
yes, but the other one that I enjoyed was Dr. Mbo.
Yes.
I did not know anything about HIV/AIDS. So I had to learn. I had to study about HIV/AIDS. You recall it got to a point when he said, wow, Mr. Faal, I am impressed. You know all these things about HIV/AIDS. Yes. And that really told me that I did my job. But more importantly for me is areas where I caught him. It was just something. You know, the first day he went there as the chosen doctor for Jammeh, sorry. Excuse me, I beg your pardon. And he read out some results of the tests. Where I caught him was there was no benchmark previously established on which you can base improvements. Boom. The other one that I enjoyed was Jobate. Yalonko Jobate ya fonyoko bring these tortures. Abenung Ghana. You know, atamatale nung abedun tamadulate. So ayala passport nati aparetale. Ayala passport nati ayala. Think ayala passport tena. Nga boy ko bari. It was just that was something. Nga itandiko at this. Amantara nung ayafoko abenun dame. Okay? So aye departure stamp, aye arrival stamp letter, ka pass of as departure time.
Interesting.
You know, so yeah. TRRC, it was interesting.
It definitely was. It definitely. So, Lafake Nyininkamena, did you, since we are talking about witnesses or element samanan sedewolu, animfanale samana nyameng, did you at any point make an attempt to have the former president come? Yeah, Jammeh.
No. You know,
Why?
this is matters of state. We have to be absolutely honest. There are few witnesses. Me along ko TRRC decide to go ite killing. Jammeh was one. Katu abe Pantala, abe Equatorial Guinea. Man lafi aye TRRC disrupt. Man lafi aye TRRC disrespect. But Katun tolbe nga Yaya Jammeh na character lon. Na lafita, he's very cool and cooperative. But na lafita fanang akatara otherwise.
But one would say, the TRRC was allegedly about him. Basically, Abeta Tarara, Atelemu nung head of government for 22 years, all this accusational tajirintal tilimbala jamelem. Why did you make the decision not to get him? Because since we are in the truth seeking
yes, because TRRC report would not be final to determine his fate. He will always have to come before a court and clear his name. So why risk creating a situation, me alonko, abe TRRC doyandila, abe TRRC disrespect la, abe proceedings be the commission ya assesco, it wasn't the best idea. Wala tinanga bula. Katunga lonko, at the end of the day, no matter what, abenala before a court. Katu ni TRRC law munyineti, no. Ni nata ye tonya for the wrong, ibe amnesty sotola, like in South Africa, yeta. Then be ya Jammeh killing. But in Gambia, ite amnesty sotola ni ibulobe crimes against humanity kono. And the allegations against Yaya Jammeh were crimes against humanity. So another TRRC, amanna TRRC, abe court le face la. In fact, it's better for him, Yaya Jammeh, ko manati TRRC. Because na nata nung fang aye testify, abe risk sotola afangwe, purka previous inconsistent statements make, or the risk of admissions mi alonko later ababatandila. So the best thing for him, mu aye clean slate soto, investigations keta, charges all drota, anata before a court, aya fan clear. That is because okay.
So let's say no, just on the Jammeh issue, let's say Misal Fe saying Jammeh Mutata, because Ngalane I calculate he's gonna come. I want us to come to that in a bit. But let's say a special tribunal has been set up for Jammeh. Would you accept to be lead counsel?
Well, I want to be president of the Republic of the Gambia. I hope
yes.
that
Yeah.
I hope that I will be declared president come 6th December 2026 by the grace of God.
So just on the issue of TRRC,
I am not aspiring to be lead counsel in a trial for Jammeh. If that was one of my aspirations, I would apply for that position. And I just think that I have other important things to focus and direct my talents to.
So in terms of the TRRC, just one last final question. If you look back, do you have any regrets? Is there anything you would have done differently?
Look, I think I did my best the way I know how. Nimu doku letimi ya lonko a difficult talebake. Inyanta kela muti mi ya lonko ye capacity soto. Purka different faces so at in very short spaces. Like I call them the tools I have in my repertoire to do my work. Sometimes itandila ko sangarita. It's just acting. Sometimes you see I am overcome by emotion, I want to cry. But that is all part of a TRRC setting. Remember, a truth commission has to be made so interesting that the people will watch. Because if people do not watch, if people do not follow, they would not know what happened, so the truth would not come out to most of the people. There will not be any healing because the people would not have had the testimony. It wouldn't have an impact because the people would not have interest. But look at Gambia's Truth Commission. Wo damale bekering Gambia, miya lonko, watu dolbeje, ni pin drop tafang anywhere in Gambia. The whole country was, everybody was quiet. Everybody was indoors watching. Even taxi will mimbe tambikan, ibe TRRC le blar. Alayen told them, ngake in a way mi ya lonko, aye dunia be captivate. And that is the success of the TRRC.
Yeah. So sanji fula sanji saba TRRC kola la fe nyirinkala sanji saba sanji fula TRRC kola
danji betambila je Gambia mo jama kontanta dunia mo jama kontanta bari dolbe je iman kontant dolbe je iman kontan nganna doku o kenyami dolbe je ika foko esaye disrespect wo kan dimine bake katu nteman nyin doku ota pour ka najang pour ka motoni non nata pour ka doku baro kendo ke pour na bankoye. Some people are disappointed because I had to make choices and I chose Gambia. I chose to side with justice, to side with Gambia. So Dolba Miraloko Esa is against Jammeh. I am not against Jammeh. I am pro-Gambia. I am pro-justice. That doesn't mean that I am against Jammeh. Dolba Fokanko Esa yen imamul respect. And ngaje ko fang Dolba Tala to score cheap political points. Inteman imam neng manku jawfo imam kilenna. Yes, ilafita minna num woman soto. Nganna doku wolake. Bari mo binje, mo bo bimbeje mi ya lonko. Ninga one word for mi ya lonko aya diming. O nga fenke mi ya lonko aya diming. Mbe yam fudanola, ali yam fanyi. Katunte nata dorong pour ka baro kendo ke pour na banko. Nga mim jenung be mu Gambieliti. What is justice? What is the truth? I prosecuted my case fearlessly, with courage, knowing the risks that were involved. Alayin dema ngake ngabang. Bari modol mimbe jemi ya lonko ya mirako esa manyinke anyanta kelateng yam fanye intemam perfect. Bari alaya lonko manna purka mo disrespect manna purka mo tonye modol mi ye wo feel hekatunye yam fanye. Bari nga mirako ngaba kendo ke purna banko.
Yeah, definitely yedogu kendo leke ngamira mo base o seriano le. But lafa kenyi ni kamena 2-3 years after the TRRC ngamelong bi jongulal dolbeje wol bulata mo dolbeje ngamira TRRC sedawol. There is only one witness isafo menda ko yemen samba kitiola memu yankuba tureti. Do you think justice was served after the Truth Commission, Keta?
Yes, I believe justice was served. If we're talking about Yankuba Turela case, I believe that justice
I'm
was
talking
served.
about the TRRC in general, you know, even in relation to witnesses.
Yalong naman sa kunda, I failed woefully in implementing TRRC recommendations. Yalong nga for Gambian ko, Adama Barobe political football lekela with the TRRC. I 265 recommendations mean accept about implement la piecemeal because just to score political points and to avoid causing himself a political problem. Wala tinna ya Jammeh be case betende. I mean, this is 4.5 years after the first draft of the TRRC report was written. 4 years since he accepted the report. So, ni aye political will sotono pour que TRRC report and recommendations implement abakel. But amake katu abe political calculation lekon. Aba alafita jubela munemu ala political interest. Along atele nata nunjanka fo katata kanilai kafo ko ya Jammeh anyanta nala le ni alafita nala ase sabatino kanilai a form status of former head of state soto aninying atele tata je ayafo bari sanyi ya Jammeh ko abe murud nan adama boro ya foko well nata iba mutal munatina ama wo fo wo watola katu alafita APRC